Dance world of my dreams. Hi, I'm Esther. One of my viewers asked me what was wrong with Jehovah's Witnesses going dancing. To which I would say, well, nothing, if you're married. Going dancing as a single person is another story. And dancing with worldly people is pretty much illegal in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. Another person claims that I have an obvious agenda against the elders and the Watchtower organization. Your voice is overly dramatic, as if to pull at the heartstrings of the uninformed so as to garner their sympathy. That might work for some, but I at least accepted my wrongdoing and don't go around pretending otherwise. You've been duped. I've been told. Well, sir, I don't judge myself. I don't see myself through the eyes of the Jehovah's Witness elders who barely even know me. If I'm duped, at least I can look at myself in the mirror and like who I see. So thank you for your concern. So I thought I'd provide a little more background about why or how I got disfellowshipped. I think this might have to be a two-parter. So, after my divorce, it took a while, but I got used to my new life, and it turned out I liked my independence. The trauma of the separation and the divorce was wearing off. My marriage wasn't a happy one. Of course I'd be happier after I got divorced. Wish I would have known that 20 years ago. As my therapy with my therapist continued, I registered with some temporary employment agencies and accepted short-term positions. I knew that Terry's spousal payments would end. Probably, well, at some point because of his addictions. And I wanted to keep my apartment now that I was on my own. I began to notice the shift in my thinking. For example, when I wondered what to do with the rest of my life, I still had the notion of finding myself a nice spiritual brother and settling down again as a well-trained, well-conditioned religious wife. But I detected a problem with that thinking. All the men at the meetings were afraid to make eye contact with me. Never mind start a conversation. It was pitiful, really. Pitiful. The possibility of finding a new witness husband was indeed slim. Besides, there was so many single sisters. And nobody was even looking. I don't know, when you hit around 40, nobody bothers anymore. Well, I can't say that across the map, but at least that's how it looked in our congregation. Nobody was getting married anymore. And I thought about my friend Gabby. I had a really good friend who I met, shortly after I got divorced, and we kind of maintained a friendship for those 3 years or so. And I thought how little she settled for. She was my first new friend in the congregation after I divorced Terry, and she ended up marrying a worldly man who was in and out of jail for petty crimes. I didn't want anything like that for myself. So, I thought, I'll just hang in there. Maybe someone will move in. Some brother they'll move in and he'll be nice and, But anyway. Then I remembered how much I've always wanted to dance ever since I was 4 years old. But I also realized what the elders would say about such a worthless pursuit. I was supposed to be a missionary or something important, pioneer, but a ballroom dancer? How completely vain was that? And when I was 4, I remembered Fred and Ginger on my grandma's grainy black and white TV set, so in love as they glided across the floor in each other's arms. I recalled taking dance lessons in the past. On one occasion, when a sister organized a group of couples for dance lessons, and when the elders got wind of the activity, some of the couples were questioned. The elders concluded that since husbands and wives were spending time together, those dance lessons could be sanctioned. Always gotta get the rules straight, eh? Rules, rules, rules. But now, with me in a divorced state, associating with worldly people, oh, too dangerous, too dangerous. Anyway, on my way to work the next day, I found myself yearning to dance again. While deep in thought and waiting at a bus transfer point downtown in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, a handsome driver stepped off a bus marked Garage. He paused and smiled right at me. He asked me, "How far down 2nd Avenue are you traveling?" Duchess. I was stunned. This great-looking guy noticed me? Am I dreaming? And how does he know I'm heading down 2nd? Couldn't be because I was standing on 2nd by a bus stop. Oh dear. "I'm going right past there to the garage," he said. "I'll drop you off," he stated matter-of-factly, as if reading my thoughts. I could not resist his smiling brown eyes. He was at least 6 feet tall, dark hair, lovely broad shoulders, and gorgeous as a man could be. I was intrigued. I skipped aboard, reminding myself that he was just being polite. After all, I was desirous of meeting a brother. Nevertheless, he was so pleasant that I gave him my personal card with my home phone number on it. And a few nights later he called, and I was watching TV. I thought I was going to die from the sheer excitement. This was the first time a man phoned to talk to me in how many years? His name was Ted. And through the course of our conversation, he mentioned belonging to a social group. And he invited me to join a singles group for a Chinese New Year's Eve dinner. It was the dead of winter. And he said the group is hosting the dinner, and afterward we're all going dancing. Wow! Dancing! I was just thinking of dancing, and here is this man inviting me dancing. "Oh?" I said. "What kind of dancing do you do?" "I take ballroom dance lessons," he replied. Dance lessons? He's a dancer! Well, I could have fallen over, except that I was lounging on my couch. In that moment, there was no stopping me. This was my opportunity to delve into the dance world of my dreams. All kinds of thoughts raced through my head. "I'd be pleased to join your group for a New Year's Eve dinner," was what I said to him. Anyway, we concluded the phone call with plans to meet each other at the Chinese restaurant with a group of other people who I did not know. When the evening arrived, and I made my way to the restaurant, the voices inside my head were warning me loudly, "Be careful, don't embarrass yourself. What if he arrives with a lady?" Oh, God. I let out a sigh of relief as Ted arrived with a group of other people, both men and women. It was a singles club. So I was in therapy for quite a few years by then. My progress was starting to show. How else could I have gone this far? I was comfortable enough to sit with a group of strangers since there was no room at Ted's table. I hid any rejection that I might have been feeling. I trusted myself to think on my feet. I was thinking intuitively, and it was safe and comfortable to do so. I was gaining confidence in my new world. My new world. After a very pleasant dinner that evening, I love Chinese food. Ted asked me if I preferred to go to a singles dance or the Stetson swing dance. I was very careful to find out all the pertinent details, such as which dance Ted would be attending, before I decided to attend the Stetson swing dance. Ted had joined a carload of people, and he asked me to join them for the ride to the dance. Once our car group arrived, and Ted quickly assigned me to dance with a single man named Rick, who was a member of the same dance club as Ted. Rick had no girlfriend, and he agreed to spend the evening showing me the ropes and otherwise generally keeping me out of Ted's way. I was eager to learn all I could about dancing. Many men asked me to dance that evening. My set of the beginner ballroom dance lessons during my marriage actually paid off. I recalled some basics and managed to have a most wonderful evening. Dancing. So after the Stetson swing dance, there was no stopping me. I picked up the flyers at the information table, and I signed up to learn more dancing, starting that next week. My first 2 sets of lessons were East Coast Swing. Both East Coast Swing. I caught 2 buses across town to take those lessons, and I diligently completed the beginner set. I finished a month of lessons and learned the basics of the dance. I was making friends and enjoying myself too. Since I came with no partner, the instructor asked everyone in the class to rotate so that I could have the experience of dancing with a partner. I mean, how else do you learn to do a couples dance? You have to have a partner. Next, I started the West Coast swing lessons and found them more challenging. It did not deter me, though. I was hearing all kinds of lessons were going on, including some free ones on Thursday nights. Cha-cha. I liked the look of that dance. That was another dance I wanted to learn as well. So I started going to the Long Branch Saloon on Thursday nights. A saloon, ha. Another red flag for Jehovah's Witnesses for sure. No drinking allowed, especially going to a bar when you're single. Okay, well, then I heard about a weekend workshop for West Coast Swing, and I signed up for that. By the end of the weekend, I got the hang of the basics. It was hard work, but it was paying off, and I was learning to dance. I loved it. Ted, as it turned out, had a girlfriend. He wasn't interested in me. Yet it was okay, because I was having so much fun and meeting so many new people. Men were actually making eye contact with me. How about that? They were talking to me and dancing with me, besides. Bonus. People were accepting me without question and without judgment. I was okay to hang out with. How about that? Men were giving me their phone numbers and asking me for dates. Of course, I was too afraid to call them or go out with them. After all, I was really desirous of meeting a brother, after all. I was still going to meetings occasionally. I used to be such a regular meeting attender, and I suppose the elders noticed, hey, where's Esther these days? I haven't seen her for a while. And so when I did attend, I was suspiciously happy, and some explanations were in order. So I was questioned by a couple of my friends' their sisters, and I toned down my exuberance long enough to make it clear that, well, I signed up for some dance lessons, I'm having some fun. And Gabby, the friend I told you about at the beginning, oh, I'm going to do another video about her, all on her own, she's fun. Gabby became concerned that I had followed my heart on a wild tangent. Don't you know you could get into trouble, Esther? And Myra, my other friend, those men who dance with you might want to be your friend. Someone might even want you for a girlfriend. I laughed. The thought of a man desiring me as his girlfriend was outlandish. I only knew the kind of men who were afraid to make eye contact. I rebuffed their reasoning. I assured them. The thought that these dancing men might desire me as a girlfriend, I really don't think so. They just want to dance with me. They're just practicing our new dance moves that we learned from going to lessons. We're really serious about dancing well. And Gabby, you might get into trouble. She repeated her earlier warning. What kind of trouble? I winked and laughed it off. But seriously, Gabby, these dancers are not my kind of men. Sure, they're fun to be with. I like being around them. I like dancing. These dancers are a lot of fun for someone like me who likes to dance. It's just that I would really rather meet a brother. Well, then I met Vince. He appeared often at the cha-cha lessons at the Long Branch and asked me to dance, seemingly more often than anyone else of the men. The instructors who stood in the middle of the floor at these lessons frequently asked the men to change partners so that everyone could have a turn trying out all the new steps. There were always extra ladies and an obvious shortage of men at lessons or dances. And Vince made it around that circle in a very short time compared to some of the other men. In no time he made it back to me, grinning widely. He seemed so pleased to partner with me. One evening, he told me, between songs, in all sincerity, Esther, I found a glass slipper. I think it might fit you. It might be yours. I stared at him wide-eyed. He had a gleam in his eye. A gleam. I was flabbergasted. Was this man flirting with me? Me? With all the other ladies in the room? Did this mean he was interested in me? I laughed it off and continued with the dance lesson. Throughout the evening, though, I recalled the Cinderella comment. I stole glances at Vince. There he was, gazing at me, gently smiling. Yikes. Meanwhile, my dance world began spinning with excitement. There was no containing my joy anymore. A local dance school sponsored a workshop that I wished to attend. A world-class dancer from Calgary was coming to teach his Latin dance techniques. 3 different men from the dance club invited me to be their partner for the weekend. 3 men? Wow! I could not quite believe my good fortune. I puzzled for days whom to partner with at the workshop. I finally decided that Vince was the best dancer, and I would learn the most by spending the time with him. Besides, I was a little more than intrigued by his Cinderella comment. I even kind of liked him, even though he was so obviously not my kind of guy. After all, I really wanted to meet a brother. Nevertheless, I accepted his invitation. He was very pleased about my acceptance. May I offer to pick you up and escort you to the workshop? Oh, that was so obviously improper protocol. No thanks, I said. I'll catch the bus and meet you there. Well, at least allow me to pay for the workshop since you are my partner for the weekend. Oh, thanks for the offer, but that won't be necessary. I was fully intending on paying for my share of the lessons. Thanks anyway. It was all kind of scary, rising to my new challenges, breaking new ground every day and testing my newly discovered self-reliance. It was exhilarating, to say the least. But the biggest thrill of the weekend happened when I discovered there was a second-hand pair of real dance shoes for sale at the workshop. Gold-colored, with suede soles and all. A real dance shoe. They were only $60. I could manage it. I tried them on and they fit perfectly. Without taking them off, I walked up to the counter and wrote a check for my brand new pair of ballroom dance shoes. New to me, anyway. I was so happy. There were mirrors on all the walls in the dance studio. Throughout the weekend workshop, I stole glances and admired my gorgeous golden dance shoes at every possible opportunity. Glass slippers. My God, I was a real dancer, just like Cinderella. That's my little 4-year-old there, that's for sure. A 4-year-old who wanted to dance. Everyone was so tired at the end of the workshop that we were dancing on sheer adrenaline. Workshops are hard to do. Vince and I were invited to dine at a Chinese restaurant with the rest of our dance group. While seated at a long group table at one end of the restaurant, I got to know these people on a more personal level. I started to see them as genuinely caring men and women. They didn't care where I came from. They accepted me just as I was. I was just one of them. That was so sweet. Some people arrived as couples, some came as singles. I was scared to death and could hardly breathe, never mind talk. I was terrified to tell anyone what I was doing at dance lessons, but I was enjoying it too much to stop the ride. The weekend was a blur. Dance workshops, I discovered, were completely overwhelming. Fortunately, one of the men in our dance club bought a video of the dance workshop, and every Sunday our group got together and practiced a part of the lesson again. Every Sunday afternoon. Oh, I didn't go to any of those meetings those Sundays, no way. We were an amazingly determined little group, very committed to learn to dance well. And so that's about my halfway mark about getting into dancing and then getting in trouble with the elders. I have to leave it here. I don't want a great big long video. So part 2 will be along soon, a few days or so. And thanks for listening. If you like my video, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Please comment if you wish. And I'll see you next time.